Hey guys, welcome back to Geek Week. This is actually the last day of Geek Week for this year, but it's okay because we're gonna wrap it up in a really fun way. I'm not gonna do what I've been doing the last couple times with my experience on a new specific fandom. I'm gonna talk sort of about a specific fandom, but for the last day, I figured I'll do a review on a movie. So I already gave some suggestions, and I'm not going to be doing any more like newer fandoms and talking about them just because I want to save them for next year. Because what I'm going to do is this year I just wanted to get everybody acquainted with Geek Week and what I envision it as getting introducing like my experiences to it, letting you get to know me a little bit in terms of what I like about them and overall, I just wanted to have kind of like this fun. This is what it's going to be like. But next year and the years after, I want to do more specifics, and I'm going to have some really fun topics and some fun think pieces. I'm going to keep them a surprise. Some of them will be a part of Geek Week. Some of them will just be on their own. Like I'm going to be doing some TV shows that will just naturally fall under my TV shows segment once I can get that started. But overall, yeah, in the next couple years, it'll be different every year. Obviously, I'll still have the May the Fourth be with you and the Battle of Hogwarts recognitions and everything, but I'm going to be doing some different stuff every year. So, but looking forward to that. It's going to be really fun. Um, but for today, I figured I'd wrap it up by talking about another uh, fandom-ish movie that's really funny and just a good time. Spaceballs. Now, Spaceballs, if you don't know, is directed by Mel Brooks, who has directed, written and directed all of these spoof movies that are just based on, puns and wordplay, gags, screwball comedy, physical, stunts, things like that. And he did, a lot of them, like The Producers. He did Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles. There have been others sort of like it, like Murder by Death, Death by Murder. I always get it confused, and Airplane, obviously. That's the only one that I thought Mel Brooks did that he did not do. But those kind of movies came out a lot in the 60s, 70s, and mostly the 80s, I think. Specifically the 80s when things were getting very popular. Now, Spaceballs was later in Mel Brooks' career and is just a spoof on Star Wars, really, when it comes down to it. That's really what it is. The plot is sort of the same. You got the main character who has to figure out his powers and use lightsabers, and he's got to go up against the evil villain and all, and save the princess. I mean, it's really, the same thing, but the characters are a little bit different. You got parodies, so you got the guy who parodies Han, who actually is the main character, so there's really no parody for Luke, which, it makes sense. Luke's kind of the regular. You've got John Candy playing the parody of Chewbacca named Barf. And you've got, you have Rick Moranis playing the villain. And Rick Moranis is the guy who played the father in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So, he's kind of a more nerdy looking guy. So it's really funny having him play what the character's name is Dark Helmet. And he looks like Darth Vader, except he's got a giant helmet around him. It looks like a freaking umbrella. And so having him play it is very funny because he's supposed to be this big evil villain, and yet he is this pathetic, weak sort of. He puts on a good show, but and then you've got Mel Brooks himself cameoing playing Yogurt, who is obviously a parody of Yoda, and instead of using the Force, Yogurt talks about using the Schwartz, which is probably the most iconic thing to come out of this movie. But the Schwartz isn't even just like the Force, but a different name. It's like a merchandising brand thing, which is a very funny riff on the fact that Star Wars has this huge merchandising platform now because it's such a huge phenomenon. So there's a moment when he's talking like we got Schwartz mugs, we got Schwartz shirts, and we all kinds of things. He has a whole shop. It's very funny. But yeah, the one thing from me in terms of, I don't want to say negatives, but the jokes for me are hit or miss in this one. If I had to rank them, like at least the big three that I've seen, Blazing Saddles for me actually is the bottom because I didn't think a lot of the jokes were that funny, which is problematic in a comedy. For this one, I thought some of them were funny and some of them fell kind of flat. Young Frankenstein for me actually is pretty funny the whole way through. But for this one, a lot of the jokes are very clever and very funny. Some of them are okay. A lot of it's really kind of stupid comedy, which is supposed to be. But like naming the one of the Mel Brooks characters, actually he plays two of them. Yeah, his name is President Scroob, which is Brooks anagrammed. And it's those kinds of things that you have Colonel Sanders, but like spelled differently, like Colonel Sanders for Kentucky Fried. And for me, while I really like the idea of like the stupid comedy and the screwball, there are just some jokes like that in Mel Brooks movies that I'm like, it almost doesn't feel like he even put effort into it. And it really kind of bugs me because you could have really clever jokes like that, but then there is something, it just feels like when he was like 6, he wrote a script and he was like, I want to let's just make this character and what should his name be? Oh, well, here's my name and let's just put it like this, Scroob. And it doesn't seem like it takes itself seriously enough. There's a very fine line with these movies where it's supposed to take itself seriously and act like you thought of ideas here, but also obviously not take itself seriously enough that it's funny. But for some things like that, for me, it feels like that's just kind of dumb, and you didn't really even try. And so those are the kinds of things that I'm not a huge fan of in the Mel Brooks movies. Like, there's a lot of those in Blazing Saddles that I'm like, it's like if Monty Python didn't try. Monty Python sort of is like that, but they have their own shtick because it's supposed to be medieval, and it's supposed to have this sort of fancy language. But here, it's like they just took it and I don't know. It was like inside jokes, like those things that you film with your friends and you go back and you look at it later and it's like, oh, that was fun to do, but nobody else is really gonna care. And I know I sound like I'm really harsh on this, but it bugs me those kind of little things. I will say though, there's a lot of funny moments in Mel Brooks movies, and there's a lot of funny moments in this one. Um, just because I'll probably won't talk about Blazing Saddles a whole lot, I will say I love the end when it's the whole meta thing and the guy is like going for tickets for Blazing Saddles, and he's obviously like 50 or years old or whatever, and he's like student discount, and you just hear the woman go, "Are you kidding me?" So there are things like that in this movie, but I think by far the best use of like a clever joke was this super meta, where if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about, where they're watching the tape of Spaceballs, but since it's not done playing, they're seeing themselves in the current moment watching that movie, and then they're looking at the camera, and then on the TV it looks back at them, and it's this whole funny joke about like oh, we just missed it when and it just happened right now. It's really funny. I'm never going to be able to do it right, so just go watch that scene for yourself. In fact, go watch the movie. Because overall, it is very fun. There's a lot of great jokes. It's a lot of, just if you love Star Wars, it's a really good spoof on it. You have those like John Candy and Mel Brooks and Rick Moranis. You're not going to go wrong with a movie like that. So overall, Spaceballs is very funny. It's a good time. It's a good, fun adventure comedy. I mean, it opens up with how you have in Star Wars, you got the ship that just kind of comes in and it's very overwhelming and intimidating. Well, in this one, it just keeps going and keeps going, and the ship is like 1,000 feet long. It's super hilarious. So overall, I'm gonna give Spaceballs a 3 out of 4. It does what it needs to do. It's a funny comedy. It's a spoof. It's sort of dumb in places, a little too dumb for me in some places, but overall, it does what it needs to do, and it's just it's a fun, good time to watch with your family. So yeah, um, it's a fun one. So yeah, that's the end of Geek Week, guys. Like I said, I'll obviously it's not like I'm not gonna be doing geeky, nerdy, fandomy stuff throughout the year, and throughout the year, every week or every year that I do Geek Week, I'm not just gonna limit it to just that week. But look forward to the next couple years of it because I'm gonna do very special, special topics and rankings and intensive looks at fandoms, things like that. And it'll be different every year. So if you have suggestions, if it's something you want to see, let me know. But I'm gonna try to make it surprising and fun, something that's a little bit different each year. Talking about some new fandoms, things like that. But yeah, thanks for sticking around for Geek Week, and I hope you really liked it. Let me know in the comments if you do like it. It's really fun for me to do and talk about. For copper reasons, I almost forgot I have to curse, so it's really fucking fun for me to do. And yeah, let me know if there's any suggestions you want me to talk about for the future too. Just in general of the next couple months. I'm going to be doing a couple more reviews, obviously, of just some lower movies, not lower, lesser known movies that I don't think people appreciate enough or talk about enough. And any new movies that I watch that I think I should do a review on, that those will be coming up too. But while we don't have the editing, there's not a whole lot that I can do at the moment that I want to. So pray for this to be over soon. Oh man, but yeah, I just hope that you guys are staying safe on a serious note, and that everybody is doing well in your families, and that you're going not so stir crazy. Everything's gonna open up soon, so we'll be okay, guys. We'll get through this. But as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and may the Schwartz be with you.